guys for joining me. This is the third workshop, goal setting workshop for on how to set your goals for the 2019 year. I am at my parents' house today. Heather said, love the decorations. My mom goes way out on the holiday decorations. If I could camera on my computer around, you would be like, what? I don't even know where she keeps all this stuff. Anyway, it's beautiful. If you have already purchased the 2019 edition of Heart Goals, I would love for you to grab it. I am going to walk you through my personal goals for 2019, which is a little bit different. I've never done this before in the history of me talking about goal setting. I've never shared my personal goals. I'm going to let you guys in on it entirely. If you have any questions during the course of this webinar, I would love it if you would just type them in the chat box. And if I don't answer them right away, I'll try to come back around to them at the end. And are there any questions before I get started? Anything specific? One thing, it's being recorded, Jonna. I hope I'm saying your name right. It might be Jonna. I don't know. Okay, perfect, Jonna. If you guys, I would love to know, if I could ask you a question really fast, what do you hope to get out of this workshop today? Is it a little bit inspiration for me? I would be curious to know what you guys are hoping to get out of it. Heather's typing. We're supposed to also, I always talk about the weather for 2 seconds. It's supposed to get really cold here in Oklahoma. I'm in Oklahoma City. I have to drive to where my family is, my kids, my husband, 2 hours after I get off this workshop, but because I have to beat the weather. Confidence in setting, tracking, and realistic goals. Thank you, Heather. I love that. I hope that's what you get out of this. I hope you can see that. Okay, I'm just going to walk you guys through this. So, workbook, there is a PDF printable if this is your first time joining one of the workshops. This is the first page, it's the title page. I printed mine black and white because I am at my parents' house and I didn't want to use their colored ink. But you can print this however you like. A lot of people are taking their workbooks to staple bound. I would actually recommend doing more of a 3-hole punch thing rather than having it bound, because I will continue to update this as people let me know about typos or tell me that the instructions on something aren't clear. I am going back and editing each of the instruction pages. And as purchasers of the 2019 edition, you will have access to all those updates automatically free. I'm trying right now to figure out how I notify people that there's a new update, and just how your apps update on your phone. And there's like this little thing that says, here's where the changes were. So I'm working on that right now, but I do want you guys to know that you have access to all the updated versions of this for the 2019 year. When I launch the 2020 version, things might be a little bit different because I'm going to be writing a book about heart goals this year. I'm not sure if this is going to be part of that book yet, and like actually go through a publisher or what. So this is actually I'm gonna launch this one more time on December with another round of workshops. I'm pre-recorded and record those in a couple weeks. And that will be it. But I will not be selling this again in 2019. Okay, that's all that. Then there's a lovely copyright page that says, don't share, forward a digital file. A little welcome note from me. Where am I? I love that this app lets, it makes the camera, it turns the camera the right way. But it makes everything backwards for me. I love that John just said how to think in order to even identify what goals I want to make. That is totally my problem too. Okay, heart goals consist of 3 different sections and 10 separate exercises. I've included some bonus worksheets for people too, but all you really need for this goal setting process is Part 1 is all about your mindset and making sure that we're thinking the right way about our goals. Part 2 is all about mapping it out and figuring out where we want to get and then starting to plot that journey to get there. And then part 3 is all about execution and making stuff happen. Then on the next couple of pages, there are this about this, loosely based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And that is one thing that I realized. I was starting to put together heart goals for this year, and doing research on it. This is when I started realizing this is enough information to write a book. I have 37,000 words just on goal setting, and I called an agent. But I realized that one of the things wrong with our traditional goal setting is that it's not based on our needs, that a lot of times it's really arbitrary, and that when we end up setting arbitrary goals, sometimes they're very business or career oriented, or maybe they're too health focused, but we end up not living a balanced life simply because our goals aren't balanced. So heart goals is a way to help you balance your goals across all of your life segments, not doing lopsided goals. Another thing I talked about in the very first webinar is that SMART goals was never, if you've ever heard of SMART goals, a lot of people with traditional corporate jobs, a lot of times it just SMART has, the SMART goal setting acronym has fully envelops all of corporate America. But the SMART acronym of goal setting was never intended to be a personal goal setting method. It was never intended, it was designed to help managers figure out how to monitor and improve employee performance. It was intended for a personal goal setting system. This is not about managers and employees. This is about you as an individual. Okay, then on the back of page 7, if you're walking along with me, there is, it's called goal ideas. I have mine already filled out here. So you're getting a little taste of what's to come. And I would recommend, if you're walking through this with me right now, just pull this out of your packet right now and set it over to the side. I have also printed out single-sided, hope I don't get confused with my papers here. Single-sided, I have printed out extra copies of page 8. And again, they're pre-filled out. So I'll talk you guys through that process in a little bit. But pull those out on the desk. I'm actually going to take a picture of this to post on Instagram later. If you guys will allow me to do that. Document the process as I go here. This is real life. And oh, look. Can you guys, oh, you can't see that. That's funny. Okay. Oh, Whitney. Okay, pull those out and set them beside you. And if you are watching the recording of this video, I will be sending out a recording, me being a total dork with my camera. Take the time to fill out the goal, your goal idea sheet. And this, at this point in the process, can be arbitrary. You don't have to be very specific. This is all about getting ideas out of your head and on paper. So anything that you think you might want to do in 2019, writing it down. Don't worry about this column. Don't worry about these columns. We will do that later. Is that clear as mud? Are you guys with me? Are you good? On page 9, I go into a little bit. This is section 1, and I talk really briefly about your mindset. And this is why Heart Goals can be a book, is just simply the fact that I give you a short couple of paragraphs on mastering your mindset, and I could write an entire 3 chapters. For the purposes of this workshop, just want to introduce you to the process. And then on the next 2 pages, I try to put the instructions page before the worksheet page. So this is instructions on how to fill out this worksheet. I'm going to show you my worksheet. And again, this is about the first worksheet in the Mastering Your Mindset section is about lies versus truths that you are believing, because we cannot act apart from our beliefs. And if we want to change our actions, we need to change what we believe about our current actions, which is just a crazy, trippy thing to think about. So in the first column, I have written down lies. Can you guys hear me? I just got a weird notification. Are you with me? I'm going to keep going. Somebody type in the chat box if it's not working. A couple people are typing. I'm going to pause. Yes. Okay. Okay. I don't know why I did that. Very weird. Okay. So the first lie that I wrote down is I'm not organized. And this might shock some people, because a lot of times people think because I created a planner that I must be super organized and efficient with my time. But I am completely unorganized when left to my own devices. That's the best way to explain it. So on the other column, I wrote my truth. I have everything I need to streamline my home and make it comfy and efficient. Then I wrote down, and I'm just sharing you guys, full disclosure here, I'm too distracted. And then I wrote, have different passions. I wrote, I believe it's already been done. You know, there's a SMART goal setting method out there. So who am I to think that I could invent a goal setting method? That's a lie. The truth is, no one can produce the exact same ideas I can, and the world needs me to share mine. I wrote down, I hate math and numbers, and and then it said, I just haven't found the right teacher yet. And that, even just writing this down, gave me the idea that maybe I should read a couple budgeting or finance books this year, maybe take an e-course or something. So I went and jotted on my goal ideas page. When I was filling this out, I went over there and I wrote something about reading some finance books. And then I wrote a few more lies that I'm believing and truth. And as you fill this out, if you get halfway through a worksheet and you feel like you've everything out of your head that you can possibly get out, that's part of the process of this, is just getting this stuff out of your head and onto paper and really identifying it for what it is. Like, what's the truth versus what's the lie? But you're welcome. You don't have to fill the whole sheet. Leave some blank space. And if you're going to work through all of this in one sitting and you are familiar with the Heart Goals acronym, it'll probably take you about 3 hours. If this is your first time doing it, it will probably take a couple of sittings. And so I would just challenge you, as you sit back down, to keep working on it a second time, to read through the worksheets that you've already worked on and see if you think of anything new. And the reason I'm sharing mine with you is because I want you to just have ideas about the things that I'm talking about. Okay, the next worksheet, there are 3 worksheets in the Mastering Your Mindset section. The next worksheet is letting go. And that was the instruction page. I'm going to walk you through what I've done so far on my personal Let It Go worksheet. Letting stuff go, I have realized, is a lot about relationships. It's not necessarily, I don't personally struggle with a ton of guilt about things that I've done. Maybe I should. Maybe I need to work on that. I'm not sure. But I feel like the stuff that's hard for me to let go is relational. Like those emotions and those feelings in connection with those hold me back. So I've identified that what's holding me back is relationships that I'm trying to hold on to. So I have identified in this first, I put weird friendships. I have a few friendships that aren't really friendships, but used to be, I guess. Then in the next column, there's a section for, do I need to make it right or forgive somebody? And I just wrote forgive. That's all that needs to happen there. And then I challenge you to find a lesson. And the lesson I wrote down on this is sometimes I am more committed than others in relationships. And not that I need to change anything about that. It's just good to know that about myself. I get into friendships and I am hardcore all in. And sometimes other people aren't. So then there's a section to say thank you. And the reason I tell you to identify a lesson is because sometimes the stuff that we're hanging on to is really hard to get over. It's really hard to get beyond. And one really easy way to get beyond stuff is to say we are thankful for those things. But if you're dealing with a very challenging emotion, it's very hard to say thank you for that. It's very hard to say. And but I mean, why would we not let go of things that make us feel terrible? You know, human psychology is just interesting. But it's easy to say thank you for lessons. At least for me it is. I don't know if you guys are if I can find a lesson in something, I can say, okay, that was educational. Like my parents paid a lot of money for me to go to college, and they're probably glad that I'm still learning lessons in life. These are free lessons. It's an MBA in emotional health. And then in the very last column, there is a section for do you need to take action or do you need to move on? So on that first row, I wrote, I need to move on. The second, for the second example that I have to share with you guys, what people will think about another move. If you're watching this right now, you are the first crowd of people to hear me say that my husband and I have finally decided that we think we're going to move, make another move in 2019. We have looked at houses. We have put a contract on a house in Edmond, Oklahoma. We're trying to figure out if it's a part-time house or a full-time house. I'll be sharing more about that as things unfold in our personal lives over on Instagram. But again, this is full disclosure. So do I need to make it right or forget? I need to make it right. And the reason it's hard for me to talk publicly about that is because we need to have a few conversations with some other people, and those are hard to have. So the lesson in this is that I need to make slower, big decisions. And our decision to do a house in Edmond where we used to live, yeah, we've never like really, anyway, that's a complicated story. skipping that. Own a lot, some property that right now we can't afford to build on, and that was a hasty decision. So I need to make faster little decisions on the stuff that doesn't matter quite as much, and I need to make slower big decisions. Huge lesson for me there. Thank you. I just said I am so grateful for that lesson. Like that is a huge light bulb moment in my life right now. And do I need to move on or take action? I need to take action. So anything that you need to take action on this worksheet probably needs to get added to your goal list. And I don't have it with me. I might have to go get one. I may have to stand up and go get one in a second. But I just, in reading through this, I just realized I have not added this to my goal idea sheet, so I need to go do that. Okay, that's the let it go exercise. Then exercise is as much of a crystal ball as you can get into your future. And the purpose behind this worksheet is to help you realize that there are things that are goals in your life. There are things that you're going to need to anticipate and plan for. And I'm going to show you mine. The column on the left-hand side of your page is completely blank. The categories that I recommend putting in that, and the reason it's blank is because it's different for everybody. But it's 1 year from today. So 1 year from today, I will be 40. About to turn 41 in March. And I put my spouse's age, my kids' ages and grades, my car and my husband's car, because that's another thing that I don't normally plan for. Any potential kids' cars that we might need to have, our residence, school for the kids, where we're going to be, what that's going to look like, my husband's job, my job. And then I put a blank here for income, and I have not filled this out yet. I will go back and fill it out later, but I want to just put some income goals here. Not that I'm going to targets. Those are not, reaching those numbers is not going to be part of my balanced life goal plan, but it's going to be an important thing for me to just as as I can. And just simply writing stuff down, getting out of our heads and onto paper is magical. I don't believe in magic, but there's something about, there's actually research and science that shows that when you write stuff down, your brain processes it differently than when you type it out. So writing this all out by hand is also a really important part of exercise. You could also put, if you've got kids that are going to be in separate schools, you could put 3 categories for each kid. If you have parents that are aging and sort of anticipate anything that you might need. But and how do you need to plan for those things? So that's that worksheet. And again, if you have any ideas while you're filling this out, go add them to your ideas worksheet. Uh-oh. Turned it upside down. Has to be correct. Okay. Then on the back of that, there are instructions. And if you don't have to print this 2-sided. If you're printing this at home and you don't have a 2-sided printer, sometimes there are parts of this that actually work better if you print a few of those out as I keep walking through it. I print mine on 2-sided because I like to save paper. When I reprinted a couple of pages for my goal ideas, I print those single-sided. There's a lot of information in this video for you guys, so I hope you're getting a lot out of this. Okay, exercise number 4. Oh, I said there were 3 exercises in the mindset section, but there are actually 4. This is all about your vision. So you can write this out by paragraph. I've done that. Today, I just bullet pointed everything. I just wrote, in 2019, I envision, and then just went through bullet points of things that I think I might want to do, or outcomes. I wrote down, I envision smart decisions about mental health, continuing to build my self-discipline skill, help my daughter with her self-discipline skill, read a lot, streamline my schedule, put family routines in place, healthy eating, a lot of things. Just I put work type ideas, all kinds of things, hobbies, anything that you feel like you need to do. Writing stuff like this out in a paragraph form takes a little bit longer. Like if I was just, if I was to start skin and happy smiles, and I don't know. I mean, sometimes you get more out. You get more out of your head and onto paper, and you write it out in paragraph form, or you can tell a story about where you envision yourself a year from today. That's a really great way to sort of start casting the vision in your own head about where you could be. And there are 2 pages for this. So if you find that it's hard to write, I would encourage you to just set a timer and just start writing. Set a timer for 20 minutes and force yourself to 20 minutes is up. So there are actually 2 sides to this. Well, but there are a couple of different ways you could fill that out. There's no way that's wrong, but you do you know, you do what works for you. Okay, now we've moved on to section 4, which is mapping it out. And the first thing that, the first exercise in this one, it's exercise 5 in the whole workbook, is a mind map. So there's an example mind map right here. And then here's the mind map that I wrote down. And somebody asked the question, it was a great question. They said, well, what's the difference between mind mapping out your vision for the next year and writing it by hand? And the process is different. Writing stuff out by hand versus basically drawing a picture. The way to do this, but the way I did this was I put me in the center, and then I used each of the 5 life segments that I talked about in workshop number 2. I used each of the life segments to make notes. So under H for help myself, I put healthy, food, water, and sleep. And you can rapid fire this. This can be short and choppy. Under empower for my emotional and mental health, I wrote down self-discipline and books. Under A for all my people, I wrote really looking forward to that. Under R for resources, I put budgeting and tithing. And then under T for trade, you can see I have a lot there, which is a little bit of a red flag. There's more in T than there is around here. So setting goals that balance T out with the rest of my life is going to be something I'm going to need to pay attention to. But I wrote down, write the book, the Heart Goals book. I want to chase and share beauty. I have a friend who I was like, I am. Thank you for giving me permission to say that. So if you've ever thought about getting a life coach, I totally encourage you to do that. She's not my life coach, but I am the first I've got the funds to do it, because just simply texting that and hearing that from her this week was an amazing experience. If you want her name is Diana Kerr, Kerr. You can follow her on Instagram. So totally a shameless plug for her. She is awesome. Okay, and if you're an entrepreneur, you probably, anyway. Then number 3, I put current coaching clients. So I am not going to be accepting any new coaching clients at this point. I don't foresee that, but I do have a couple of current coaching clients that I have regular calls with, so I'm going to stick with that. And then the 4th thing I wrote down under T is interiors. And I have a degree in interior design. I've just happened into the entrepreneurship category of things. But I'm hoping to continue to work with a couple of existing clients this year. And that is practice own home, and I love that. Okay. Are you guys still with me? Are you good? Any questions? Everybody okay? There's a little bit of a delay, so anytime I say any questions, I have to wait a couple minutes. On the back of the mind map exercise, there are instructions for the 6th exercise, which is called the life assessment exercise. And this is going to seem like an odd thing, but on the page next to that, there is a blank notes page. And this is, I know this is a weird spot for a notes page because technically it should be the exercise, but this is a page that would have been blank. If you print this 2-sided, it would have been blank. And because we wanted each life segment to be directly across, we wanted you to be able to read this while you fill out this. So there's a handy dandy little blanks notes page in the middle of the workbook. And I just started writing down word of the year ideas. in that section. So I wrote down beautiful, life-giving, organized, streamlined, balanced, faith-filled, brave, ambitious, empowered, connected. Not sure which but I'm gonna work on that. So those are my notes on that. Then I'm gonna, you guys can read this in your workbooks. And I'm gonna show you how to fill out the life assessment pages. There's a page for each of the 5 life segments. This is the Help Yourself life segment. So that's at the top right there. And these are just prompts. You don't have to use these. You can get a little whiteout highlighter thing. You can cross off anything that doesn't work for you. But categories for the Help Yourself category, just prompts, things that you think might fall into this category for you. There's nothing, you can put things in your life in whatever category you want. Wherever you think an important part of your life fits, if it's not in one of these prompt areas, these are pretty basic. Sometimes people have a lot more works for you, whichever life segment it fits best in for you. So in this column, you'll look at the prompts, and then I encourage you to use the first column on the left-hand side to write okay, if that category of your life is good, doesn't need any change, or to do an up arrow or a down arrow if you think some change needs to happen. Do you need to increase or decrease that activity in your life? I wrote down under sleep. Sleep is your first line of defense in anything in life. Enough. I am going to bed early and waking up early to get stuff done so that I'm working with a fresh brain and I'm feeling really empowered in that area. Under environment, I put because our home needs to be streamlined and simplified. Under exercise, up arrow, need more motion. So I have a lot of up arrows. I only have up arrows on this page and things I want to increase. And as I fill this out and I write on this line of changes that I might want to make, I went back and I added them to my goal ideas sheet sitting out there beside me. Oh, also at the top, there's a spot for you to write out your vision for this life segment. So under the life segment of Help Yourself, I wrote down number 1, sleep is my first line of defense. Number 2, then water and exercise. So I'm super excited about all of those things that led to some goal ideas and then have also led to some goals for 2019, which I'll show you in a second. Assessment exercise is yourself, and I have a lot of up arrows again here. School and study. I'm not in school right now, so I'm not going to make any changes there. But I wrote down meditation and I wrote and prayer. Can I combine these? I wrote a question, just something to think about. Affirmation, writing, limiting beliefs I might be dealing with. So this life segment is a lot about mindset. So you're going to feel like we're touching on a lot of the things that we talked about in the first section of the book. But that is how important mindset is, setting your goals. Okay. Next life segment area is all your people. So you could read about this here, and then you'll fill this out here. We have categories, subcategories on here for spouse, kids, parents, siblings, extended family, community, associate, social events. And again, I have a lot of okays and up arrows here for me. I put date night, reading, you need to connect with family a little bit more, consistent engagement with audience. That's a big one down here. That kind of falls into trade, which is the final life segment, the business employment career life segment. It's at the very end. But it's right there because it's people and people matter. People are the most important thing that matters outside of sleep and water and mental health. Okay, then people. That's why the order in which you set your goals matters. Not only does it matter that your goals are balanced across all of your life segments, but the order in which you set goals matters as well. Okay, one is your resources. This is responsibility. This is the life segment that's all about stewardship. So this life segment tends to be more about stuff. And this is like your house, changing your air filters and your car maintenance, and getting your oil changed, your tires rotated. This is about savings and finances and making sure you've got a long-term plan and a short-term plan in place. Giving back, budgeting, planning ahead. There's a category down here for prevention, and this is something that you can look back at the 1-5, and you can use this prompt to make you think about what do you need to do to prevent chaos in your life in the future. One of the things, saving right now is a big one for me, for you, but just saving lower means is really important, because I just realized that I've got cars for my children in the future. We're not like new car people anyway, so they're not going to get fancy cars. Okay, I think I'm back. This little thing popped up and said reload your room. So normally I hardwire in with the Cat 5, and I haven't done that today. I thought my parents' internet was going to be good enough. So it's still running. We were all good. Okay, and the last life segment category is trade and talent. This is all about career stuff. So opportunities, productivity, time management. This is the only section that I have down arrows in right now. I have used this process before and felt like I needed to decrease other things, but I feel like I'm better on that right now. So I used a down arrow on opportunities. I need to say no to the good so I can say yes to the best. That is a mantra for me in this category in 2019. And then under projects, I put a down arrow, and I am challenging myself to get rid of something. Not sure what it is. Gonna need to work on that. That would be a great thing for me to go add to say I need to let go of something. Think about what that might need to be. Think about what part of my life, because just the T area of my life gets so busy, and I have lived through seasons before where it's taken over my family life, and I am committed to not letting that happen again. Okay, that puts us then in part 3, which is making it happen, and there's a little introductory section about that. Then there is another notes page. Again, this would have been a blank to keep all the pagination right, but wanted you to have something, a place to write stuff if you wanted it. And then the next exercise is all about sorting and organizing your goals. So you can see I've written notes to myself. These are probably little edits that I'll add to the instruction part of our goals. And then this is instructions on, oh, hang on. I need to walk you through something else. I just realized I skipped something. Okay. Sort and organize is going to happen on your life assessment pages. So let me pull this out. So you're going to use your 5 life segment assessment pages to categorize these things. No. You can do that. You can do that right here. This little column is here for. You're going to use, I've walked through this so many times, you guys. I don't know where my brain is. Use goal ideas pages. You should transferring, you can still go through and do this process with your life assessment pages, but doing it on your goal idea page is going to be more streamlined. So everything should be, all the ideas should be categorize each potential goal as a life segment. So which life segment do each of these goals fit in? So you can see that I've done some H's, some E's, there's a little bit of everything. And then this last column is for daily, weekly, monthly, and all this is in the instructions. But you can see I've written D for daily. 1X means one time. It's just a task that needs to happen. Monthly, there's quarterly, yearly tasks, things like that as well. And so I have 3 pages of goal ideas here, and I have gone through each of those pages, and I have categorized each item with a time period that it needs to be accomplished in and a life segment. Then then it takes us to exercise 8, which is a goal grid, and there's an example right here. There's a typo I need to fix. And the goal grid exercise looks like this. So this is, I have filled it out. And I'm going to walk you through this, but these are what I call holes. I'm going to talk about those again in a second. But I went through my goal idea sheet, and everything that was an H for help myself and a D for daily went down here in this category. We've got long-term, yearly, and so anything that was a help myself daily thing went down here. And anything that was an E monthly task went right there. Anything that was an A weekly task went right there. And I went down my goal list and I filled this out. So this gives me a really clear idea, guys. This is amazing. This tells you exactly what you need to do on a daily basis. So you take all this stuff and you can start working on a routine. That's empowering, right? To a routine for and figure out, and that's going to be one of my goals, is try to start implementing all that stuff. The weekly stuff, I encourage people to pick a day. Just pick one day a week where you try to knock all that stuff out in one day. I have a lot under T on weekly, so that might not be possible for me, but I'm going to be using my planner to figure out how to balance that into my schedule. The monthly stuff, I try to pick one day a month to do all this stuff. That tends to be about the family, the A and the R, like the monthly stuff. It's lots of times one time a month. And then quarterly, I want to read a book about finance, a budget book. I wrote down budget book. And another way that you can think about, as you're going through your goal ideas page, and that you can think about is, how many times a year does it need to happen? 365 times? That's daily. Does it need to happen 12 times? Monthly. On the budget book, I was like, I don't need to read 12 books about finance. 4 would be plenty. So I put that on my quarterly goals. And then I wrote down a goal check-in, because I want to be sharing with you guys all year long how my goals are going. So I'm going to upload this video to YouTube. I'm going to be really transparent about this, which is kind of scary. And also on your goal ideas sheet, I wrote down, note for myself at being a one-time event. Maybe it's just a one-time task that you need to do in relation to your goals. It's a task. It doesn't actually, the one-time stuff doesn't need to go on your goal grid. It's going to need a plan, which we're going to talk about next. This is your goal grid, and leave it out of the workbook when you've got it finished. Okay, the next page you have, this is the core of this. This is the very, very heart of our goals. You have 5 goal dashboard pages, 1 for each life segment. That's it. 5 goals. And I used to say pick 3 goals per life segment, so for a total of 15 goals per year. And I was like, this can all fit under one thing. Like, I just need to remember to help myself, empower myself, focus on my people, manage my resources wisely, and not overburden my trade category. Like, that's it. Those are my action items right there. That's all I need to do to live a balanced life and have a really super successful, awesome 2019. Now, I've got big, ambitious, long-term goals, like for way in the future. But this is the stuff that matters most. Like, this is the most meaningful stuff that I can do this year. And I'm more content with doing this stuff than working toward the big, crazy, ambitious stuff. Not that you can't work on that, just that this is an annual process. And it might be interesting if it did, but that's a whole nother layer. Okay. So this, I've started with my help yourself goal. I circled H up here. You just circle which one. And I looked at my goal grid to verbalize my goal. So I looked at all of my H goals on my goal grid, which just happened all fall in daily, interestingly enough. For me, they'll fall wherever you need to put them for you. And so I wrote down daily self-care, including water, sleep, skincare, nutrition, and movement. And then I wrote down annual doctor's appointments, which is a one-time. I just need to book them. That's a one-time task. Then, and this entire page is based on to make sure I had researched and synthesized the goal setting process enough to walk you through. It was going to be really solid and include lots of elements of goal setting science. So right beside goal, where I've written out the goal, there's a spot for you to write your why. And the reason behind this is when our purpose behind achieving the goal connects with something meaningful in our lives, we are going to, and emotional in our lives, we're going to be more likely to achieve that goal. The stuff that we connect with, I talked about this in one of the previous videos, the stuff that we connect with emotionally tends to be, and not external. External would be, I care what this person thinks about me, therefore I need to change. Internal, I wrote down my why, to be the best version of myself for David, my husband, and my kids. And then I wrote down to share product with others. Those are things that's why I want to take care of myself. So that's hugely motivating for me this year. The next question is, how will this process change you? And the reason this question is here is because a lot of times we end up focusing on the destination instead of the journey. But we need to focus on the journey. The journey is what's getting to the destination is not what's different in our life. It's what we learn in the journey that makes things different. So I wrote out, this will build more self-discipline into my life. This will expand into other areas of my life, making my life more balanced. So by prioritizing my own self-care needs, not self-indulging all the other areas of my life, all the other life segments. Then the next section is for visualizing outcomes. This is a little bit different. It asks you to write out what good progress feels like, what great results feel like, and what might exceed your expectations. So this is okay, and this is perfect. But the reason behind the purpose behind this section of this page is none of us are ever going to be perfect. Like, the odds that we all is going to be incredibly rare. I'm trying to think, eat 365 days a year. And so that's perfection. The odds of me achieving that are a lot slimmer than me just making progress on the journey. And when you focus on the progress that you're going to make in the journey and you visualize good, better, and best results, you start to focus on you quit focusing on failure. All of a sudden, your goal isn't win-lose, it's win-wins. And progress is a win. So this whole thing is to keep you motivated and prevent you from not making progress on your goal and therefore feeling like a failure. As long as you're taking baby steps toward your goal, you're a winner. It's totally a winner. Keeping super awesome, mind-blowing. You're never going to believe this. When you planning for success in achieving our goals is actually just planning for obstacles. That's it. So a lot of times we set our goals and we say, okay, here are the things that I need to go do to reach my goal. We need to identify the things that we should do that will get in our way, or we give up on the goal, is when we hit an obstacle. So if we have obstacles and then we plan for overcoming obstacles, we plan for success, because the obstacles are going to happen. This is life. It throws stuff at us, right? So potential obstacles for me on my help yourself category would be drinking or eating too much. And then I just wrote down use restraint in food and alcohol and be motivated by my why. So if I'm in a situation where I want to eat more than I should or drink more than I should, I need to go back to my why, to be the best version of myself for David and my kids, and to share products with others, to share my experiences with others. Okay, another potential obstacle for me in this category would be travel. And my plan for overcoming that would be write a travel version of my daily routine, because all of my self-care stuff fell into my daily category. So I'm using the goal grid to I start using the goal grid sort of at this point to sort of figure out where I'm going to put stuff in my planner. I wrote down illness, so write on an illness plan, lack of preparation, or that kids won't like the food that I make. And I wrote down create a monthly meal plan and stick to it. So I'm going to need that. And then I said I anticipated I might feel lazy about my nightly routine. So one thing I can do on this is I wrote down just do it. I said put a note on my bathroom mirror. And another thing that I can do is make sure that I've got as much of that routine stuff up in my morning routine whenever my brain is fresher, and it's going to be easier to focus on those things. And I did this for a few, I did this for a few pages. Anyway, hang on. Here I go again. Before I go on. On the back, there is a page for next steps and action items. So I wrote down a next step as write out a travel routine, write out an illness routine. These are just things that I said I was going to do on the front page, but it's all about taking action on them. I need to write out a basic daily routine starting with a keystone habit. I put a question mark beside the habits in that, something to think about. And then I drug my one-time tasks from my goal idea sheets and plug them in over here. So anything that was a one-time task on my goal idea sheet got transferred to my next steps. So I put book all medical appointments and then research paleo cookbooks. And then under action items, I have cookbook research, which that relates back to that event. Schedule some planning time to work on routines. So it's all nice, and it's all nice that I said, oh, I should write out a routine here, but now I have to schedule it. So that's an example of using this section to break down the tasks in this section. I wrote down gather all doctor information. So I'm going to have to book all the medical appointments, but I need to go to dentist and dermatologist and all that and book everything and get all those numbers all in one place. Probably in my planner. I've never done that, but I'm going to do that this year. And then I need to order some sportswear so that I'm prepared for movement and stuff like that. And then I wrote down, put a note about routines on my bathroom mirror. So that's that. And I did this. Here's where I jump back to that. I did this for, I think the first 3 of these. I didn't get all the way through it. But I did my H for help yourself. My E for empower yourself. My A for all my people. And I started on my resources section and haven't done my trade section. This process is best done in 2 steps. It just works better when you slow down and you take your time. And so if you get to a stopping point, I mean, I'm in the middle of the page. It's barely a stopping point. In the middle of the page, it's totally fine to walk away from this, but when you come back to it, just review all the things, just really briefly, like walk yourself through all the steps again to make sure that you're picking up everything that might come to your mind. And yeah, this is my T page. I haven't done that yet. I haven't done anything work related. Step in this process, the last exercise, number 10, is all about schedule. And I wrote out a whole page of instructions about how you can take this information from this workbook and transfer it to your planner in a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, all that version. So this process completely walks you through that. On the back of this page, there is a checklist of things to gather for your planning session. And I think I'm going to print this out and probably tape it in my planner because I'm going to have to do a lot of work this year to go grab this stuff, and next year I'm going to want it to be all in one spot. So when the teachers hand out the school schedules at the beginning of the year, I'm gonna find a folder or something, someplace where all the schedule stuff goes, so that when it's time to sit down and do a planning session, I can just pull out that folder and dump all that. Then there's some bonus worksheets. So these are not absolutely necessary. There's a spot to write out your ideal day, daily habits. If you're thinking about working on routines, that's one thing that I am going to work on this year is my morning and evening routine. And this is a good place for me to document that and just mess with it just before I go start writing stuff in my planner on a daily basis, just messing with all that. And then there's a habit tracker. If you want to do a habit tracker, this financial organizer is something I created a couple years ago, and I love it. I love it. I was like, why doesn't this exist? Like, where has this been before now? But in the first category, and the first column is things that have bill is due on the 7th. I would write Amex right there. Say my electric bill is due on the 21st. I would write that down there. So if I am sitting down and paying bills, I can look at the column right here and real quick see what I do. Where am I in the month? There's a spot to put down things that are due on a quarterly basis. This might be taxes if you're a business owner, quarterly taxes, taxes on your home, anything that needs to happen quarterly can go in this. And then the final column is for monthly stuff. So this is like, I think our home taxes are due in March. So I would put March taxes right here for this year. And that might be getting ready to change too, because we've moved, we're renting. Now it looks like. Okay. Then another bonus worksheet is a quarterly goal check-in, and this is a really brief version of everything that we just did. Let stuff go, what lean you back, adjust your mindset, review your 1, 5, 10, updated revision, how far ahead can you imagine, journal it here, do a balance check, grab your goal grid and rewrite it, and break down those tasks break down your goals into tasks, and then break down the tasks into daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, one-time tasks, and put them in your planner. Okay, notes pages, and another copyright. That's it. I just walked you through the whole thing. I know y'all's time is so valuable, so thank you for spending it with me today. I know that took a while to walk through, but thank you so much. and Max, if you're in Oklahoma and want to attend that, tickets are only $25. Message me on Instagram and I can get you a link. If you have any questions at all, you can email me or my team at hello@whitneyenglish.com. And thank you so much for joining me for this. And if you loved it, just share it with your friends. It's something I always ask. I'd love it if you would do that. I can answer any questions if anybody has any questions. A couple people have Sherilyn made a comment, but I will be doing. I'm going to be pre-recording these and to do another pre-recorded workshop on that will start on December 27th, and then doing some videos for behind the scenes for the people who purchase. The digital workbook is going to be for sale through next Wednesday, and then not again until December 27th. Okay, thank you guys so much. I'm about to lose my voice. I'm starting to get sick. I will see you guys around. Would love to see you over on Instagram. Leave a comment on Instagram if you're on there. God bless your Friday too, Sherry Lynn. Thank you for being here. I'll see y'all.